Hello, Cyber Warriors. I am Harinderjeet Singh Walia. I am an ex-serviceman. I am a veteran from Indian Air Force. Served around 20 years in the cybersecurity domain, and now I'm working with Forcepoint, which is also a cybersecurity uh, product company. My experience spans from VAPT and then auditing and then designing cybersecurity networks. Okay, so these are some of the areas where I have worked, and so let us start the session discussing more about how we can integrate ethical hacking on the domain of cybersecurity, securing from different type of attacks, just like ransomware attacks. Okay. So what is the agenda of this webinar? So we'll start by introduction and context, a small overview of the session, and then we'll look at what is ransomware, what are the types of ransomware, and then we'll move to the implications of ransomware, explaining more about what happens if your organization gets affected with a ransomware, what are the implications. Then we'll move upon what is the importance of ethical hacking on enterprise security, how we can integrate ethical hacking in protecting our organization. Then we'll discuss on understanding the attacker techniques, which is very, very essential. And then integrating cybersecurity hacking, ethical hacking into enterprise security, basically how the offensive knowledge can help us to tightly integrate with our SOC functions, and that is the thing. And then we'll discuss some of the resources used within this webinar, and then we'll go with question and answers. So here is our CISO, right? So if you look at this CISO with this picture, you can see he has not slept for many nights. Okay, and why he is not sleeping? The reason is that his organization was attacked by ransomware, and none of his systems are working fine. And maybe he is waiting, he is reading the demands from the attacker group, right? So his folks, the team under him is also in the same mode. You can see in the background. And then we look at this CISO. He is a very happy one, right? Because he's celebrating that till now no ransomware has hit their organization, and he has actually utilized purple teaming, and we'll discuss more about what is purple teaming in the coming slides. And everybody is celebrating there, right? So is it an ongoing process? Yes, it has to be an ongoing process, and we'll know why. So the basic webinar, why we're having this webinar is that when we are in any of the positions in our organization where we are dealing with cybersecurity, we want to be in the team of this happy CISO rather than the CISO who we saw earlier, right? And why that CISO failed and why this CISO is in success, we'll see some of it. Okay. So let us start with understanding what is a ransomware. Ransomware basically is a software that gets installed, is a malicious software actually, which gets installed in your system, and then it blocks you from accessing any of the information in your system. Okay. Now, when we see the types of ransomware, we normally divide it into 5 types of ransomware. One is a locker ransomware. One of the examples is Winlock ransomware. So basically what it does is it blocks you from accessing the system itself. It is not encrypting all the files in the system, rather than it is blocking the system. So you will not be able to access the system itself, right? Second one is a crypto ransomware. Now this is one of the most difficult ransomware to get rid of, because once this software gets installed in your system, it starts encrypting each and every file in that system, so that even if you are able to access the system, you will not be able to access any of the files. The information stored in that particular system is gone. Now suppose why it is very it's the most difficult one to get rid of is because whatever protection mechanisms you have, right? For like let's say if you are using AD in your system, AD Active Directory to maintain your users and every all the resources, and suppose that AD itself is encrypted, nobody can access it, so you will not be able to access any of your resources, right, during the point of need. So that is one thing. Third one is extortionware. So nowadays what's happening is after encrypting the files, the attackers are also downloading the information available on those systems, and using those informations they are trying to extort money from you, mostly in cryptocurrencies. So this can be categorized as leakware, doxware, exploitationware. So as if the crypto ransomware was not enough, now they are downloading the information and trying to exploit money from you as well, okay, in the monetary sense. Next comes the double extortion ransomware. So we have seen that in the previous types of ransomware, the motive of the attacker is to encrypt your system, make it unusable, and then demand some ransom from you in the point of, let's say, cryptocurrencies. Once you are giving that money to them, then they will give you a decryption key, which then you will use to decrypt your files and get back to the working condition. But in this scenario, even when you part away with the amount that they have requested, the sum of money, since they also download the information from your end, next they will try to extort money out of that. So only paying the ransom is not enough. They will actually download the information and they will try to extort money either from you, and in the event you are not paying it, they will give the information in the underground market or maybe to your competitors so that they can use it and charge money for it, right? So, and then the most deadly one is RAS. Now, what is RAS? Now, combine all these types of ransomware, and like any SaaS application which runs in cloud, now we have RAS applications wherein the attackers are it's a group, right? And then they are giving services well in their networks, right? And anybody can hire them. And maybe the scenario is once the ransom is received from these attacks, 70% is taken by the person who hired the ransomware group, and 30% is giving to the ransomware perpetrators, in the sense who are hosting those kind of services. So this is also a profitable business for the malicious attackers, right? So here they are not concerned about whom they are attacking. It all depends on the person who is hiring them, right? So they are like a mercenaries who are taking money and attacking on behalf of the person. Now, why it is difficult and why it is dangerous is because here the actual attacker does not need to have too much of a knowledge for attacking any organization. Rather than they are just paying money to hire a service, and that is why it is very deadly. And it is like Revil ransomware group and Lockbit. All these are type of RAS services that is offered in the wild. Next is what are the implications of ransomware attack? So obviously the first point is data loss. Any company or organization that gets hit with ransomware attacks have to face a data loss during the time till the attack is going on, and if they are not parting away with the ransom demand of the attackers. Second is financial impact, obviously. Now suppose a financial institute gets affected with ransomware attacks, their whole business is gone till the time they don't restore it back. So obviously there is a financial impact to it. And also if the company decides to pay ransom, then obviously it's a huge amount that they have to part with. Obviously the third point is operational disruption. As you know, till the time the ransom is not paid or the systems are not coming back online, the operations are gone. Okay, the whole organization operations are disrupted. They will not be able to function in a normal way. Then comes legal and regulatory issues. Obviously, legal and regulatory issues, because now, as you see in the leakware attacks, ransomware type, they are downloading the information prior to encrypting the files. So now this information can be related to the customers of the organization, where you also, for offering the service, you have service level agreements, SLAs. During the attack, no SLAs can be met, and if this information, in the event of not paying the ransom, or even after paying the ransom, comes into public, some information related to, let's say, medical or financial, right? So we have very strong legal penalties for that, which the company has to face. Then comes reputational damage. Obviously, if a company gets affected with ransomware and it comes into public domain, the information comes into public domain, next time no customer will be able to trust that company. So reputational damage is one of the main implications of any ransomware attack for an organization. Now, there are recovery challenges, as you know, that most of the files are encrypted. So recovery challenge, if the customer has not planned disaster recovery, or let's say BCP plans are not in place, they have not taken proper backups, then recovery challenges will be there for the company. And most of the time, even if you have taken a backup, the sanctity of the backup is again a question. Now, people impact, obviously, the people in the organization will get impacted. Also, the partners who are working with that organization will get impacted, with the customers as well, if they are providing services to any of the industry companies, right? Lack of cybersecurity expertise. Now, lack of cybersecurity expertise means that the people who are working in the team, like SOC team or the affected organization, in the case of ransomware attacks, since everything is decrypted, till the time they don't get the decryption key, they will not be able to decrypt the files. So even if they are very much expert, since everything is encrypted, their expertise may not work there, right? Double extortion risk. In the event the organization is paying the extortion money, let's say the ransom, but we do see the company may recover their data using the decryption key, but those data is already gone to the attacker. Now, obviously, they can extort more money out of the affected company or the organization, or they may use that particular information with other in the underground channels for extortion of more money. Long-term business effect. Once a company is affected with ransomware, long-term effects follows it, right? There's no way that you can avoid it, because your reputation damage will impact your business. Now, the thing is, when we talk about defense, first we have to understand what we are defending against and how do we defend, right? If you don't know what we are protecting, then obviously defense cannot work out. Let me give you an example. Once I was taking a training for a group on cybersecurity, basically VAPT, okay, vulnerability and penetration testing. So here what happened is we started with informing them about system administration on Linux systems, right? So somebody questioned me, what is the need of looking at the system administration part when actually we are going to do an audit and we will be doing a VAPT of our systems. Now the question is, if you are not aware of the system, how the system functions, and if you are not aware about how the operating system performs or works in the back end, and you want to do a VAPT of a particular system, even though you see vulnerabilities, you will not be able to successfully exploit it, or maybe you will not be understanding if you get minimum vulnerabilities, right, what it affects. Now, only open ports on a system is not a vulnerability here. Let's assume a web server, it will have multiple ports open because that is what it is intended to do, right? It's a web service. It is supposed to serve services like web pages to the users, right? Now you cannot be closing all the ports just to avoid any vulnerability. So those kind of things, those kind of knowledge can only come once you are aware about the offensive techniques, and that will impart you the knowledge of how to defend against them. Now, importance of ethical hacking for security, as I explained earlier, right? If you are aware about the attacker techniques, then anticipating threats will be very, you will anticipate threats in a better way. How? Suppose you are doing, your organization has employed ethical hackers for doing a VAPT. Other than the known vulnerability, when you do a vulnerability testing, it is only working on the known vulnerabilities, right? You may employ softwares, different softwares are available. You can employ them and you can look out for the known vulnerabilities. But you can never anticipate the new threats that may be there in your organization. But when you are looking from the ethical hacker perspective, you will be doing something out of the box, right? Out of the books, actually. So other than the software that is projecting you results, you may try different techniques. It may be social engineering attacks, those kind of attacks, and you may be using some of the known design flaws. So those kind of things will help you to anticipate threats better. Then second point is identifying weakness. Penetration testing, as I said, penetration testing is not only running a software or a tool. Okay, it depends on the individual's knowledge who is doing those kind of testings, because every time the tools does not give you the correct results, and even if you give the correct results, you have to manually verify it, right? And when you are doing a manual testing, it gives you more flaws, design flaws or weaknesses than a software. The software will only give you the known vulnerabilities, whereas the weaknesses, other weaknesses will be defined. You will get the results from your manual testing ability. So the knowledge helps you there. Now, designing robust defenses. So once you know how an attacker is trying to attack your systems, then you can design, in the design phase itself, you can implement certain safeguards, right? That way you will be designing more robust defenses. As an example, let's say during the VAPT, you came to know that there is some vulnerability. You have a system which cannot be patched fully, because if you patch it, then maybe some of the softwares that is dependent on that systems may not work properly. Then how do you design it, right? How do you design a robust defense? So you have to use compensatory defense techniques, right? Maybe you have to put that particular system and surround it with more robust systems or firewalls, specifically to avoid the vulnerability, right? Those kind of things will come into picture once you know and you find out the vulnerability of those systems. Incident response and forensics. So if you are aware how the attacker is working, then incident response and forensics becomes easy for you. You know what will be the next step that may be working from the attacker's point of view, and then you work towards it. Forensics, obviously, now in a normal world we know the file creation time, the maze attributes of a file does not change. But when you have the knowledge of ethical hacking, something you may come across is that obviously attackers can actually change the maze attributes of a file. Then you will not be searching for files just to see when it got changed, right? That goes out of scope. Then you have to do deep drilling into looking over more forensic evidences to understand how, in what depth the attacker has infiltrated your organization. Developing security policies and training. So that is also an important part, that once that uh, security policies are being made and you have the knowledge of ethical hacking, you can actually help the team to define more security policies and combine that with training, which will ultimately improve your risk culture of the organization, make more aware users. That is the main goal. If your users are aware, the hacking incidents will actually go down. That is what has been seen. Staying ahead of the curve. The ethical hacking also helps you to stay ahead of the curve in the sense that you are trying to be one step ahead of the hacker by using his own methods. So if you are aware about his methods, what he is using, then you can stay one step ahead of him by implementing solutions to defend against it. So as you know, when you look into the EC Council's CH or other courses, we define 5 phases of ethical hacking. Now, what are the 5 phases? First phase is reconnaissance. Here, basically, you are looking for information that is available in 2 ways. Either it can be a, uh, uh, passive way or active way. In the passive way, you are looking for information that is already available in public domain, such as sites like today. If I want to know what kind of technology is being used in a particular company, then the thing that I will do is I will look up to let's say a site like job sites like LinkedIn or other sites, and find out what kind of technology people are getting hired on that particular company. So here the attacker is actually not doing any active scans to get some information. Rather, they are looking for publicly available information of that company to gather information that which will enable them to go to the next steps. The second step is scanning. So here it's active engagement for the hackers. Here they will try to scan the entire network or whatever part of network is visible from the outside world in the public domain, and try to get vulnerabilities out of it. As we discussed, in a VAPT stage, when the company does it, so vulnerability analysis, we have tools to look at the known vulnerabilities that is available and scan it, right? Similar thing the attacker is now doing. They will be using more sophisticated way of gaining that information so that they can launch tools to exploit those vulnerabilities and get into your system. So obviously here we can know that the step of VAPT, which are used by ethical hacking, actually makes the job difficult in the scanning and scanning phase for the attackers, because we are actually patching after the VAPT stage. During the patching stage, the ethical hackers and the SOC team of the company will be patching the known vulnerabilities. Third phase is once the attacker gets information about vulnerabilities from the scanning phase. Third step is that they will be trying to gain access to the systems that are vulnerable, and so they will be deploying the exploits to use the vulnerabilities and gain the access. Now, once they gain the access, the fourth stage will start, that is maintaining access. Now, what happens once a system gets exploited? Every time the attacker will not be dependent on the same vulnerability. So they will deploy some backdoors into the system to maintain the access. Even though tomorrow, if you patch the system, the victim organization patches the vulnerability, the attacker will maintain the access using their backdoors. So now they don't need the vulnerability, right? They already have the access, and now they will use that to launch maybe new attacks or to get the information out of those systems, right? And one of the attack may be a ransomware attack. Now the fifth part is for the ethical hacking phase is covering tracks. So now when the attackers maintain the access, they are taking all the information out of the box or the system. and maybe they have encrypted the systems. Covering track is the last stage wherein they will try to delete any evidences that leads to them. So they will delete the log files. They will try to cover any of the tracks that take that routes them back to the attacker. So that way, those are the 5 steps that is there for ethical hacking phases. Next, we will discuss the similar type of steps, but in little details, more details. So this is a cyber kill chain that was shared by Lockheed Martin. So their steps, they are also in the base is the 5 steps, but they are also you further explaining those steps in a little detail by showing 7 steps. Now, first step is all the same, it's reconnaissance, but then they have additional step as weaponization. So what is this? Basically, once you get the reconnaissance has been done and you are aware about the vulnerabilities, now you take time for building your arsenal to attack. So that is what weaponization means. So that exploit development comes into picture. And then once the exploit development has been done, means the weaponization stage has been cleared, then they have a step of delivery. Now, delivery is nothing but to deliver the exploit to the system. Most of the time, it is client-side attacks. You use phishing techniques or any sophisticated techniques to deliver your exploit to the victim systems. And once that is done, the exploitation happens. That is the stage 4. And once the exploitation happens, now the attacker has the access to the system. The next step would be installation. So now once the access is there, they will deploy more add-ons into the system, installing more malware scripts or softwares to maintain that access, okay, and to keep the access there. And then comes the 6th step, that is command and control, or C2. So they will, after deploying their agents in the particular system, they already have a command and control center that is nothing but some servers, malicious servers deployed in anywhere in the internet. Through that, they will control the agent to deploy additional modules like keyloggers, right? Like ransomware. Those kind of modules are additional modules. On the initial exploitation code, they don't have those modules. Initial exploitation is done. They only have deploy the code to check to come back to the control to them. They pass on the control to them, to their command and control center. Once the command and control center gets the access, then they start deploying additional malwares as and when required. So now the system is remotely controlled by the command and control centers. And then the next step is actions or objectives. So once the command and control is active, now everything is under the attacker's will and wish, what he wants to do with that system or how he wants to proceed next. It's on the hands of the intruder, right? What they want to do with that access. Do they want to install a ransomware, or they want to take the data exfiltration action? Whatever they want to do, they can do that. Now further, when we are talking about ethical hacking steps, right? We saw the initial 5 phases. Then we discussed upon the cyber chain. Now the most important, as per the normal time, the current scenario is the MITRE attack framework. So here, attack does not work is not only attack; it is actually adversarial tactics and techniques, okay, and control that we are talking about. So here we are further drilling down these stages into total 14 steps. Now, what are the 14 steps? The initial step, as it is reconnaissance. Then we are already discussed about reconnaissance. Then is the resource development, that also we discussed earlier. Then comes the initial access, that is nothing but after delivery of the exploitation. 4th step is execution. So somebody executes the exploit so that the intruder gets the control of the system. Then comes the persistence part. Persistent is in line to maintaining access, what we discussed previously. Then comes the privilege escalation. So this is an additional step. What they do is, suppose a user, there's a client-side attack launched against a particular system, and a normal user clicked on the bait, right? Suppose an email with a malicious exploit has been sent to multiple users, and one of the normal user with the normal privileges clicked on that email and the attachment, and his system got compromised. So the intruder will get the access to that particular system, but with the access of that normal user. Now the scope of his the next steps will be limited for the intruder, because the privileges for that user itself is very low. So then he will go for privilege escalation to get the highest privilege on the system. There are multiple methods. There may be some internal exploits, vulnerabilities available, or there may be some process running with less security. So those kind of information they will gather and launch the privilege escalation, where it will lead to the more command and control to the intruder. Once the privilege escalation has passed, then they will do a defense evasion, so that the next step is whatever attack they have done should not be recognized by any of the security devices like AV, antivirus, or let's say any other EDR systems, right? So they will try to decoy their processes so that it will look like a normal process, and it will do the evasion from the defense techniques that is employed in the organization. Once that is done, then comes the discovery phase. Okay, the next phase is they will try to discover the network that is beyond that particular system for lateral movements, right? So they will discover internal networks, they will discover internal systems that was not visible from outside. So those kind of discovery they will do, and then try to do a lateral movement. How they will do a lateral movement? Since they have got the higher privileges now, sometimes using shared folders, shared resources, they will try to do a lateral movement and infect the other systems inside the network. From lateral movement, they will try to do command and control. They will route back the information back to the C2C sections, and from there they will try to, next modules will be uploaded to the systems. That may be a ransomware attack, it can be a data exfiltration, it can be just a keylogger deployment to get more password from that systems, whoever user logs into that system, or it can be anything, whatever is needed. The additional add-on modules will be implemented by the command and control center, and then it will come to the impact, what impact actually the attacker wants to do with those systems, right? All this will be done. Now comes, when we are talking about ethical hacking, we have to know about three terms, that is red team, blue team, and purple team. Red team is nothing but the attacking ethical hacker group that has been employed by the organization to look for vulnerabilities into the organization. So they will try to break into systems. And then we have a blue team, which is nothing but the SOC team, security operations team of the organizations, who will try to defend those kind of attacks to safeguard the organization. But what happened is, sometimes these teams, when we define in an organization, work on silos. So what happens is they become so dedicated for the work that they are doing, that creates a barrier between both the teams. The communication is low and does not give fruitful information for safeguarding the organization. So now the new concept has come as a purple team, wherein the red team and blue team members will work together to identify the vulnerabilities and to safeguard the organization, deploying the security mechanisms wherever they find vulnerabilities, deploy more processes and tech tools to safeguard the company. Now, what are the benefits of ethical hacking into security and defenses? Feed red team findings to SIEM collaboration rules. So SIEM systems, they look into the logs of every system. Okay. Now, if the company has deployed a SIEM software, then whatever red team findings will be there, the signatures will be generated, and those will be integrated with the SIEM to give more visibility to the security operations team. Now, whatever detection techniques are already available in MITRE ATT&CK TTPs. What is TTP? It's techniques, tactics, techniques, and process that the intruders are looking into. So those type of information is available in the MITRE site. MITRE site is nothing but US government fund site, wherein till now whatever tools and techniques has been used by the intruder, those kind of information is available with the ready-made solutions for most of them. So those kind of information can be interpreted by the ethical hackers and the security team to integrate into your security systems to avoid the known attacks. Then conduct purple team exercises for continuous deployment. So purple teaming gives more visibility both from the attacker, from the red team. They understand how the blue team works and what are the security processes that are in place, and the blue team understands what's the red team way of working. Basically, blue team now also becomes ethical. They have the knowledge of ethical hacking, and that will create continuous improvement to the systems. Use of enhanced EDR, XDR, and IR playbooks. So what is the end result is now your EDR, XDR softwares, whatever we are monitoring the system, will give you logs, and those logs, depending on the analysis by the purple team, can become IR playbooks to identify any kind of attack that in any kind of attack, known attacks, okay, that may be encountered in future. So those kind of playbooks will be more robust since you are integrating the purple team here. Simulating phishing attacks. So most easy way of doing a ransomware attack nowadays is doing a phishing attacks on user. So if the company or the organization or the red team through purple team, they start implementing simulating phishing attacks on their users, so then give them training that which emails not to click. So those kind of knowledge will actually safeguard your own company and build a risk culture. The users will be more aware, and they will immediately report any issues to the SOC team for further deep dive. Enterprise defense enhancements. Apply network segmentation. So now, since the ethical hackers are there, the red teaming, they will be doing attack simulations. They will find that if you do a network segmentation on the zero trust principles, then even though one portion of your network is affected, the other portions still are safe, right? Because there are additional access privileges that needs to access the other part of the network. So those kind of network segmentation will obviously help you. Then enforce MFA and privilege access controls. MFA, we all know that there are additional way of even not only your password, but other mechanisms are used for authentication. And then whoever are the privileged access control that has been given to whoever user, those logs should be more, which should be looked into more, right? Because now these users, have more privileged access. So anybody, in any way, if their privileges are controlled by the hackers, then more damage can be done. So any user who need a privileged access has to be vetted first, and then you have to be continuously monitoring the access controls, right? Maintain offline immutable backups. Now, due to the ransomware, a new term has come into picture, is immutable backups. So what is an immutable backup? Basically, the backup, even if you try to delete it will not get deleted. That is what immutable backup services are. Now there are lots of such services available to the organization. They can employ immutable backups. So in the event of, let's say, a ransomware attack, they can get back their data from their immutable backups. Implement patch management and vulnerability remediation. Obviously, the VAPT team will take care of it. Strengthen endpoint visibility with SOC monitoring. Here, the EDR, XDR will come into picture, and SOC monitoring will work better if the people working in SOC have the ethical hacking knowledge. So some of the important resources that is used and you can look into is the cyber kill chain from Lockheed Martin, and the best resource for nowadays for mitigating any attacks is the MITRE framework. That is one of the most important resource nowadays. With this, I conclude my talk. I am open to any question and answers that you may have. When you are talking about CI/CD pipelines, you are looking into the development of softwares. That is what I understand. So in this, you have to understand that whatever software you are developing the security concept should be implemented from the design phase and not at the last stage of design, right? So those kind of, and continuous improvement is already there that you need to do. And one mentality, the thing that you should keep in mind is always think that you have already been affected, and just try to look into the places. You search the logs and everywhere to understand if try to find the artifacts, right? That is what I believe is, if you think like an attacker and as a victim, right? To understand that you already have been affected and you are already hacked, then you will try to find out more evidences, and that will give you more visibility. So that way, it's a good way of thinking. Now, suppose you have taken a backup which actually was taken after the attack, right? And you are not aware of that. So even though you delete the existing system, build a new system using your backup, that infection will still remain. So how do you find that those kind of attacks is basically whatever backup you are taking before restoring it, or rather before taking the backup, you should find out the sanctity of the backup itself. You should scan it before restoring, and the backup should be restored not completely, but on a test system first, to identify if there are any outgoing network are there, or there any outward connection going out. Once that has been seen and vetted that nothing is malicious, then only restore those backup in your production systems. Yeah, because most of these services are keep rotating their servers, right, worldwide, and they find a particular country wherein the legal is not that strong, right? They will try to find out places where they can host these malicious services and keep rotating it, which is very difficult for inter-country jurisdiction to get to them, right? They are getting tracked, and some of them are getting compromised also by the security teams, by the legal entities. But most of the time, since they are rotating between different countries, and hosting their services in countries where the legal aspect is not that strong, they are getting away with it. Now, I have so as per my perspective, a ransomware is just a malicious tool, right? Irrespective of a person making it or a AI making it. The internal codes may be, so AI can be, so nowadays the malicious people are actually using AI to develop their tools because it needs little proficiency from their end, right? But once the tool is developed, how do you identify if it has been developed by using AI or using a person, or a normal person attacker has created it? Unless there are some codes written or comments written on the software, it is very difficult to identify. Maybe the way these softwares, suppose a variation comes out very quickly of that particular ransomware, then we can understand that the attackers may be using AI in the backend. But for me, it doesn't make much difference, because malicious software is malicious software. Tools may be different. Some hacking group may be making it, or with the help of AI, it may be created. But the end result is the same, right? And as I told you, so prevention is always better than cure. So if you implement ethical hacking or these kind of techniques, to gather TTPs, right? To understand the TTPs, use threat hunting, and so these kind of attacks is better if you can prevent it. So once you are affected, you have no way. Either you try to back up everything from, so you can restore your from everything from your backup, or maybe give the ransom. That is not very likely, because as per the legal, as per the law, you are not supposed to give ransoms. But yeah, in some positions, maybe some organization do it. But post is again the same. Post action is find the vulnerability through which they entered and try to patch it. The other thing is, keep a continuous monitoring, that even though you think you have restored everything from a backup, but there may be some elements still remaining. Look more into the logs and try to find out those kind of things. So first you have to understand what is the entry point. Most of the ransomware attacks are not or done through phishing attacks or client-side attacks. So to simulate it, make a fake page, right, or a fake software, and try to send phishing emails to your internal users. If they click on it, obviously you will get the results, right? And try to have a training done to them so that they are more careful next time, and that way you can improve the overall risk culture of your company. Once your users are aware, so most of the attacks fail there, because client-side attacks will no more work unless you have the vulnerability itself in your system. Cloud environment is nothing but you are using someone else's computer which is not hosted in your premises. So whatever works in on-prem will work in cloud, because the entry point to the cloud will go through your own systems, right? Ransomware directly cannot get into your cloud storage unless there's a path which has been taken from your own systems. So entry and exit point of your cloud should be properly monitored using the cloud tools. And if you are using cloud, then try to do some backup on your end also. Don't just blindly trust cloud, because in an event your own systems get infected, obviously attackers will try to access the cloud environment as well. Yeah, so avoid procrastination. That is the first message that I would like to give. I have seen many organizations who know about some of the vulnerabilities, but they delay the action, right? The corrective action. So they think that they will not be infected or they will not be attacked. Every organization that has a presence in internet may get attacked one day or the other. Don't wait for the last moment, and build a resilient BCPDR plan. Have a playbooks ready for your incident response team in the event of such unfortunate attacks like ransomware, and keep your backups ready. So always simulate your BR, the DR plans, disaster recovery plans, and do continuous improvement on those as per your findings. Don't procrastinate. Don't wait for the last moment.